Welcome to my August 2024 productivity report. I am here in yet another hotel room, surprise, surprise, with bad internet and bad lighting, but we're going to do this anyway, so let's jump right in. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Caroline. I'm an organizing and productivity coach, and I do these reports as a way to be more transparent in how I meet my goals, how I decide on what they're going to be, and how I track my progress and all of that, so that you can see how I do things and why I teach what I teach. And hopefully you can get some nuggets out of it as well and see that even though you're a pro at setting goals, sometimes you don't meet them. Sometimes it's not always smooth sailing, and we kind of just have to pick ourselves up and keep going anyway. So I hope it brings a bit of motivation for you. I hope it brings insight for you, and thank you for being here. This is a great way for me to stay accountable to myself and actually do these reflections every single month. So far, I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I think if we all learn together, it makes it worthwhile. So let's talk about August 2024. The summer for me was amazing. I spent most of it in LA, as you would have already seen if you've seen the other reports that I've done. And I gotta say, I was a little sad to go back home. I love LA. It's a second home to me. I normally live in Chicago, but most of my friends are in that area, Southern California. So every time I go there, I just get so renewed. My energy is up, my happiness levels are up, and I've gotten plenty of sunshine. So I love being there. And this time around, I had the privilege of meeting some incredible people. And you know how sometimes you meet somebody and you feel like you've known them for years and years, even though it's been hours? Well, I had that happen more than once while I was in LA, and I had some really interesting circumstances happen too that led me to meet other people, and all of them have become really good friends. I did not expect that, but I welcome that, and shout out to you. Thank you for being you. You know who you are. So in August, I actually went to spend time with some of those people in person to see them again. Or for the first time, I should say, in the case of one person. And I had just a blast. I went to Canada, I went to New York, and I drove through all of Pennsylvania, and you all know how big Pennsylvania is. So it was an exciting month. Lots happened, and I realized that I have to use my voice a whole lot more than I already do. And I feel like this was the month where that shook loose, and that was the message I got from the universe. I could kind of feel, and I can still feel, a new era coming and starting. I think it already started this summer, but now I can really feel it. There is a change in the wind somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to lead, but I'm pretty sure it's going to go fast, and it's going to be swift, and I'm going to just enjoy the ride, even though I have no idea where it's going. But I have a feeling I'm going to be applying the skills that I have in new and different ways, while using my voice also in new and different ways. And so I want to just back up for a minute and explain kind of where all this is coming from. So at the end of last year, 2023, I sat there and I was thinking about my year that had passed, and thinking what I would want for the new year, for 2024. What would I like that to be and look like and feel like? And I came to the conclusion that I would love to feel more expressive. I feel like for many years, decades even, I have held my tongue a lot. I haven't really spoken up a whole lot for various reasons. And I really feel like that time is over. I want to use my voice in every single way possible, because I feel like it's a privilege to be able to do so. And it's one of the reasons actually why I came to the US, to be more expressive and to not have anything hold me back when, in terms of singing, speaking up, or just aligning myself with that goal. So all of 2024, that's basically what I've been doing. It's been one giant experiment trying to align myself with that goal of being more expressive. And I have practiced and practiced my on-screen presence. I've done more lives. I have taken care of any visibility issues that I had in the past. I've recorded a ton of videos, some on YouTube, some not on YouTube, some for my academy and so on. And I've made real efforts in finding the messages that I want to spread, right? So I've done a lot of work this year in order to become more expressive, in order to be more free and just be me. And I feel like that is now really starting to kick into gear. And these productivity reports have definitely helped. I gotta say, if you're ever on the fence about how to express yourself, just starting somewhere is the best way to do it. So like, you know, if you don't feel like you're confident on camera, just turn a camera on and start talking to it. And if it doesn't turn out good, don't post it, fine. But the more you do it, the better you are at it. And in fact, the same thing happened when I started blogging, you know, a decade ago. I was so scared to publish that first post until I realized that nobody cares. And I did it anyway. And then as I started writing more and more and more, I really found my voice and I became actually quite a good blogger, quite a successful blogger. And now I love writing and I write articles all the time. So it's not a big deal anymore. And I feel like I needed to do that on video this year, especially. Last year I did some as well, but this year I've really kicked that into gear. And I gotta say, it's helping. And it's been really fun and really interesting. So continuous improvement is what I teach, it's what I preach, and it's what I'm demonstrating here to you. You just gotta start somewhere and then you get better and better and better. And that's how you master a skill. So that's what I'm doing here. Eventually, I will be really good on camera. Eventually, these productivity reports might look very different, but for now, it is what it is. This is the lighting, this is the camera, and here I am, and that's all. So, you know, a big part of goal setting is just that. It's not overthinking, but just actually starting and taking the first step, and then a second step, and then a third step. And the second you start to gain that momentum, and then it just keeps rolling. And before you know it, you're off to a running start and you have a year's worth of productivity reports in the bag. So here we are. August 2024 was a blast. And yeah, I really shook myself loose this month. One of the ways I decided to use my voice was to sing. So for those of you who don't know, I love to sing. Am I the best singer? No, of course not. I can hold a note, and I have won a contest or two here or there. But I've never publicly released any music, and that is about to come to an end because one of my new friends and I are collaborating on a song together. So hopefully before the end of the year, you will hear that song, and we'll have a little launch party or do something for that. And that's one of the ways that I would like to celebrate using my voice this year. Another way I want to use my voice this year is to vote. We have an election coming up, and that is definitely a place where I'm going to make it useful. I'm also going to do a bit more writing. I'm putting more videos out on YouTube. And so I'm really finding new and interesting ways to use my voice in as many ways as possible. And that was the message that I feel like I needed to put forth for August. If you have the privilege of being able to speak up and being able to say things, please do. We can all discuss things, we can all listen to each other, and we can all have healthy conversations around things without getting upset at each other, you know? We don't have to agree on everything. I certainly don't agree with my friends on everything. I have friends on both sides of the political spectrum. I have all types of people in my circle, and I listen to all of them because I feel like it's important. And I speak up when I see something that I don't feel is right, and I want to use that privilege now in more ways than what I'm currently doing. And I feel like that's also a really good business lesson. Your core message in your business, for example, is always going to be the same. It's your mission, why you exist. But the way you reach different people from different demographics and the way you motivate different customers is by diversifying that message, right? And thinking of different angles that you can spread that message in. And so I want to encourage you to use your voice in as many ways as you can in a healthy way, and just find more success that way. Don't be afraid to speak up and speak your mind, and share your opinion, because we'd all like to hear it. So I'm curious to hear, if you already do that, how you use your voice and if you want to use more of it. Singing for me is going to be a thing going forward. I can say that I definitely want to release more music. I am not going to necessarily make that my job or full-time career or anything, but it's certainly a big part of me that I want to explore. I love expressing myself through poetry, through lyrics, through all kinds of art forms, painting, and so I'm definitely going to do that in as many ways as I can. And I encourage you to do the same. So, all right, let's now talk about how productive I was in August 2024. It was not a good month, I should say, in terms of productivity. I found myself feeling quite scattered and less motivated than usual, which is very unusual for me. And I think it's because I had taken on several very big projects, and they were very large and had very expansive goals. So it felt a little bit like I was biting off more than I can chew. And so because of that, I had trouble completing. I actually just made my goal of 3 projects this month. I think the fact that I'm feeling a bit of a change in the wind, I feel a new era upon me this season, and I think that's contributing to it. Lately, I have been feeling the music industry calling me home. That is where I originated, and it's probably a place that at some point I will go back to. I just don't know how or when or how that's all going to take shape. But there is definitely a transition period that I'm in right now, and it kind of feels like I'm in limbo a little bit, and that's I guess shaking it up a little bit. I'm not quite sure how to handle that or how to proceed, but I had a very good conversation with my friend Anna the other day, which eventually is going to be released on YouTube. That's going to be an episode of Creative Conversations, and we are talking about this exact thing of like the entrepreneurial journey is often filled with twists and turns, and you don't know where you're going, and then you pivot, and then you don't know where you're going there, and then you pivot again, and it's this sort of spiral that keeps going, but you just have to figure it out as you go. And so that's kind of the phase I'm finding myself in at the moment. And I think that's contributing to a bit of the scatteredness, which I normally don't have. And I also want to point out that, we all have moments like that when we kind of feel the motivation waver just a bit, and we're like, I'm not sure if I can do this, or I'm not sure if this is the way to go, or whatever. And I think at that point, you have to realize that you can't always rely on motivation. What you have to find is discipline. And to me, discipline means doing whatever you got to do in order to make things work, even if it's not fun. Motivation comes and goes. You're going to have days that are up, days that are down. You're never going to be consistently motivated throughout a project or throughout a season. It just doesn't happen. It's not natural. We all have cycles. We are all up and down. We're all emotional beings. And so developing your discipline is something that's going to be far more useful to you. So you don't have to rely on motivation to always get you through. Being able to control my mindset, I in fact just did it today, is something that I have learned. It's taken a lot of work to get there, but it's a skill that I would not trade for a minute now. I had a very difficult week this week, and I still had to perform, even though I didn't feel like it. And being able to change your mindset like that and actually get into the state you need to find yourself in order to perform, that is a skill that I highly recommend you develop. And big shout out, of course, to my coach, Claudine, for helping me develop that skill. I will link to her below. She's fantastic as a mindset coach. You know, if motivation is there, great. I will happily accept it and I will enjoy the ride. If it's not there, fine. I will still do what I need to do and I will still get my tasks done, even if they're not fun. So, yeah, it's really something when you're able to get your mind to a place where you just do things simply because they need doing and not because you just feel like doing them or don't feel like doing them. That's something every business owner needs. In August, I completed 3 projects. Like I said, I barely made it there. It's very unusual for me. Normally, I just knock it out the park and I do probably 5 or 6 or 7 of them, sometimes even more. This time I struggled and I barely made 3. They were very large, all of them, and that's what put me on the edge there. So I very rarely do 3 large projects in one sitting. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it. In this case, I had some unexpected things happen that kind of threw me off. And in hindsight, I just didn't like the feeling of being that close to not meeting my goal. So I should have adjusted some of them or broken some of them down further. I didn't. I got a little bit lazy and complacent there. I think the scatteredness got the best of me. But I did complete 3, so I still met my goal. It's just that it was a struggle and it should not have been that difficult. I should have broken them down more. 3 has been my goal for the past year. I find that it's a nice round number. Like I said, normally I do maybe 1 large and 2 small, or 2 medium-sized ones and one bigger one. In this case, I happen to take on 3 massive ones, and I should have made them into slightly more condensed versions of themselves. So I think I got a bit lazy in the tracking, in the setup of them, and yeah, that's just very unusual for me. But you know, like I said, we all have our ups and downs. I still made it, so oh well, but barely, and I did not like that feeling. So mental note to myself that I have to work on not being in that situation again. My favorite project this month was a travel project, actually. I went to Montreal to see my niece and one of my friends, and we took a road trip. So we drove from Chicago up through Indiana and Michigan, over into Toronto, up to Montreal, then down to New York, spent some time there, and then through Pennsylvania back to Chicago. So it was quite a long drive over a couple of days. Originally we were going to fly standby, but we had some appointments that we could not miss, so we didn't want to take the chance of missing them. And so we decided, let's drive instead, because we know we have more control over when we can get where. So that's what we did, and I quite enjoy long road trips, so I was okay with that. My husband and I both took turns driving back and forth, so it worked out really well, and it was a nice time. Canada is beautiful. I had actually never been up there. I had a stopover at Pearson once back in the day, but that doesn't count, obviously. I'd never seen the actual country of Canada in detail, and so I really enjoyed exploring that. Even though I wasn't there for so long, I think I saw enough to know that I want to come back. My friend showed me around Montreal a little bit one day, and I got enough of the city, of the feeling there, to know that I'm definitely going to come back there. And I got to speak a little French and listen to a bit of French, and that is a language that I'm okay. I'm fairly conversational, I would say, in it. However, I have not mastered it, and certainly with accents and vocabulary. I need to make some improvements. So that is now going to be on probably my goal list for next year. I may actually put this into the productivity report of learning a certain number of words per month or something like that. So we're going to see how that's going to go. I have a feeling that le français is going to be a big part of my future going forward. I just don't know how that's going to play out, but time will tell, as they say. Okay, so let's jump into hours worked, and I feel like this is a bit of a reveal here. I worked just under 80 hours in August 2024, which is about 20 hours per week. So you can see that I'm actually under by quite a lot. My goal has been about 25 per week. So 4 weeks, that's 20 hours of work that I actually could have done more that I didn't do. And I think that may have contributed to some of those projects not getting done. And also you can kind of see the correlation there, right? Bigger projects feel a little bit heavier, therefore you resist a little bit more. So I actually didn't work as much because they felt heavier. Had I broken them down more, I think I would have actually made more progress and actually put in a little bit more time. So the correlation there is interesting, and it's worth noting that when we break our projects down more, it's actually less heavy and we get more done. So that is definitely something I want to consider for September. It could also, of course, be a bit of travel fatigue. But yeah, it shouldn't have been such a struggle to finish those 3 projects, even though 80 hours is part-time. I could have probably benefited from another 20. So I was a little under this month, and yeah, that was, again, unusual for me. I normally really enjoy working, and if anything, I go over. And that's one of the reasons I have this goal in place, is to make sure I don't go over 25 hours per week. But for some reason, I wasn't feeling it in August. I just wasn't feeling it. And so that's that. I also didn't measure any networking time. If you watched the reports from June and July, you'd know that I measured my networking time just to be able to go back and see how much time I put into that and to see the ROI that came out of it. I did not do that this month. I didn't feel like it was necessary. So all in all, 80 hours clocked this week. I should have done a little bit more in hindsight, but I still got my projects done. So there you go. Okay, digital photos organized. As you know, I am a certified photo organizer, and yes, that's a real thing. So one of my goals is to maintain my own collection, because as they say in many businesses, the shoemaker's children often have no shoes, and I do not want that to be me. So I have a conscious effort every month to make sure that my own collection stays organized. And I also take a ton of footage, videos and photos of myself for my business and of my friends and family members. So I need to be on top of it to make sure it all stays organized. In August, I captured 1,934 photos and videos, and I saved 1,714 of them, which is quite a large number, actually. Normally I cull more than that. I normally keep about 30% or so, but I had a lot of good stuff, so I didn't have to delete that much, actually. Lots and lots of fun footage. Most of the content came from photo shoots that I did and project management. Despite my sightseeing, I didn't actually take many sightseeing photos per se. It was either promo photos or album covers or rehearsal footage or some other event or thing that I did where I felt like I could use and keep the footage. So that was a lot of fun to actually keep that much. And I am usually the designated memory maker in my friend circle. And so I actually added a whole set of keywords, a whole category to my archive that I had not had in the past. And that category is songs. So now when I go into my photo system in Lightroom, I can look up song keywords, look up songs, and either me performing, my friends performing, or somebody else performing, or recording something. I now have a full category for just looking up footage by songs. And that is going to be super fun going forward. I think me heading more back into the music industry, that's going to prove extremely useful for me. So yeah, especially for launch parties, promo tours, and other performances for friends and so on, that's going to be super fun. I'm actually kind of surprised that I hadn't thought of that category before, but you know, hey, better late than never, I guess, right? In August, I walked 224,552 steps. Those are the ones that are officially measured. And that breaks down to over 7,200 steps per day, 7,243 to be exact. And that, I have to say, is a very good result. Did I make it past 5,000 every single day? No, of course, but pretty darn close, right? And my goal has been 5,000 steps every single day as a no-brainer, sort of. I don't want to even have to think about it. It just always happens and I don't have to measure. We're slowly getting there. I'm still measuring because I'm not quite there yet. I'm about 2 years into that goal now. So it's slow and steady progress, but we're getting there. There was a time where I was not clocking more than a few hundred steps a day. So the fact that we're now very consistently above 4,000 is actually huge. Now I just need to up it a little bit, get over 5,000. And of course I'm doing an average here. So 7,000 steps average a day, but a few days, obviously I went a lot higher and a few days I dipped below. And I actually did an interesting experiment this month. I didn't look at my step counter at all the whole month. I thought to myself, let me see what happens if I don't actually measure anything. If I just go about my day-to-day as if it was just a normal day and I don't have that goal in place, what would happen? Is that now going to drop significantly, or is that now sort of a habit, a routine, something that feels natural to me? Is that a part of my life now, just being active at that level? And that is kind of an interesting way to test yourself and gauge how much, you know, you have made that transformation a part of your life, right? So I thought that would be cool to check. And so I didn't look at my app. I have the Pacer app on my phone. Didn't look at it at all the entire month. Only after the month was finished is when I looked at it. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that, yeah, I am now consistently very good at getting close to 4,000, even 5,000 steps a day. I'm still under a little bit here, but we are seeing that the transformation is happening. It's becoming a natural part of my life, and very soon, maybe a couple more months, and I won't even have to think about it anymore. It's just going to be at that level, and then I can maintain that going forward. So the habit is forming. We're getting there. Like I said, we're about 2 years in, and so far so good. It takes time to create meaningful change for yourself, but you just have to keep going, and then at a certain point it just becomes a natural part of who you are, right? But it does take time and it does take effort, and while you're in this learning mode and getting the habit up and running, you have to keep tracking your progress to see how you're doing. So far I'm doing really well, but we're not all the way there yet. For home-cooked meals, I did much better in August than I did over the summer. As you know, June and July were kind of a disaster in terms of home-cooked meals because I was on the road nonstop, and I use the term home-cooked even very loosely. This month, the final percentage was 68%, and my goal is 75%, so we're still not there yet. Same thing as with the step goal. I have to keep tracking the progress to see how I'm doing, but we're doing better and better and better every month. Once again, it was being on the road that made the difference. And I was less on the road this month, which is why the percentage was higher. So as always, we had breakfast ready to go, lunch and dinner we ate out usually, and we tried to obviously make healthy choices, but we're still eating out. So I think I have to shift the strategy a little bit here because I just don't see my travel schedule slowing down anytime soon. In fact, it's probably going to get worse. And so I may have to come up with some more home-cooked, simpler meals that I can meal plan for myself while I'm on the go, right? And that's the type of strategizing that you have to do when there's a variable that you can't control or that just kind of puts a stick in the wheel for you, you know? It's kind of hard for me to do home-cooked meals when I'm not home. You know what I mean? And if maybe I don't have access to a stove or a microwave or a kettle or whatever it needs to be. So I need to figure out how I'm going to eat home-cooked or healthier meals while I'm constantly on the go. And it's tricky because when you're jumping countries or cities, maybe that you're not familiar with, you don't always know where to go for the groceries. You don't always know what's available, or sometimes things aren't available in terms of ingredients. So I'm gonna have to come up with a variety of quick and simple and easy meals that I can eat hot or cold and that I can do quickly. So that's gonna be another separate little project for me to do some of that work and then maybe implement that again. But yeah, I have to focus on what I can control, not what I can't control. In this situation, I can't necessarily control where I'm going to be all the time. I can't control what I eat. So I have to figure out what is that going to look like and how am I going to make home cooked on the go, home cooked. So stay tuned for the development on that. It's going to be an interesting journey. Meal prepping at home is so easy because you know what you have available, you know where to get things, and you have all the tools that you need. For example, my almond cow milk maker is something that I dearly miss when I'm on the road. It's the best thing I ever bought for my kitchen. I make homemade nut milks in minutes and I use them all the time. On the go, I don't have that, so I have to come up with other strategies there. So yeah, it can get a bit tricky, but I'm determined to figure this out. So again, stay tuned for that. We'll see how that goes. For books and learning, I had an interesting read, or I should say listen. So I listened to the audiobook version of The Algebra of Happiness by Scott Galloway. And it was an interesting listen overall. He was actually quite a self-deprecating, sarcastic author, which I really enjoy that type of humor. My humor is very dry and sarcastic, and I kind of liked that. He was very real and down to earth, and I liked how relatable he was. Some people might find it tedious to listen to that type of stuff, but I actually quite enjoy it. So it was okay for me. I like it when an author doesn't claim to have all the answers and kind of can show that they didn't always have it all figured out. And as far as I understand it, Scott Galloway, shout out by the way, if you're watching, he's an NYU professor. So he was kind of putting forth that there's a ton of basics that you can do, like showing up on time, you know, doing your best, having manners, all of those things get you very far in life because few people actually have a lot of that common sense. So some of it may feel obvious if you're that type of person naturally, but he says it in a way that feels very fresh and interesting. So I really enjoyed listening to it, even though I agree, and I would never be late for anything on purpose. You know, hello, I'm an organizer. But yeah, I guess that's not everybody. What? And so, you know, it was kind of a fun way for me to explore that topic as a bystander, I guess. Yeah, it was a fun listen, and I think if you want to pursue all the good things in life, you know, love, happiness, success, all of those things, it's a worthwhile read for a little motivation, a little boost. Some of it may be obvious to you, but it's still quite a fun read or listen because of his style. So I would recommend it. I've realized too that nonfiction books are great as audiobooks. You know, any type of self-help or personal development books, is great on audio, but for fiction books, I prefer the actual book to hold. So I'm switching it up now and then, but for this, as it was nonfiction, I went with the audiobook version. And, that helped me get my step goal in too, so there you go. In August, I continued my hiatus on Meaningful Conversations online. I have an online program called Fika with Caroline, which is sort of where I do 20-minute catch-ups with several of my mailing list subscribers. And I had a hiatus throughout the summer because I was traveling so much and seeing so many people in real life. I continued that this month. Again, because I had so many in-person meetings and I just didn't feel the need to push it even further. I had some very deep and meaningful conversations, but with the people I did see in person. And I feel like they were well worth the time that I put into them, and we got a lot closer because of it. So it was very nice to have that time. But yeah, like I said, because of that, I didn't do the online ones. So if you're an online subscriber or fan, thank you for your patience. I will bring them back next month, I'm sure. But yeah, I have really enjoyed in-person connection lately, so I've been going with that. As I mentioned earlier in this report, August really reignited my passion for singing and expressing myself vocally. Yeah. And I would really love to celebrate the success of actually recording, like actually putting vocals on a song that is going to be released at some point. I have not done that in so many years. I mean, at least 20 years. And those songs are not even available anymore. So yeah, that's worth celebrating, the fact that I'm back and I'm jumping right back into the action with that. Even though I'm not necessarily the best performer, I am one heck of a producer, and I'm learning how to be a better engineer as well. So I feel like music is going to be a bigger part of my life than it currently is in the next year or two. I've always loved singing. Music has always been my passion, and I did consider making that my career at one point in time, and then I realized that, yeah, even though I'm decent at it, and I love being on stage, give me a microphone and I'm there, but I'm actually really good at the behind the scenes stuff. I'm really good at A&R, talent management, and producing and that type of stuff. So that is something I'm going to continue exploring. And like I said, I feel like that's going to be a bigger part of my life. And now I just have to figure out how to marry that with what I'm already doing in terms of project management and productivity and all of that. And then we're really cooking with something here. For Tea of the Month, I am highlighting my absolute favorite, Harney & Sons Jasmine Dragon Pearls. That is my number one staple, but the variation I'm highlighting this month is the sachets with the little French that I picked up in Canada. I felt like the sachets would be a great version of the tea to highlight. I have started investing more in sachet packs because I can travel with them. So if you're not familiar, they're basically little loose tea bags that have loose tea already inside them. So they're kind of like tea bags, but bag tea is, like more like powdery. These are the actual dragon pearls, the actual loose tea, but they're just pre-portioned out in little bags so that I can just put them in water. And that has been a big plus because I can usually get to a kettle or a hot cup somewhere, but finding a steeper or, a bag or something like that, it becomes too much of a hassle. So I love getting the loose tea, of course, but actually buying the packs of sachets have been such a game changer when I travel. In fact, let me show you one of them. I have it with me. Okay, so I got it. Look, this is what it looks like, right? So you can see that we have the little dragon pearls right in there. It's just like if they were loose, right? But they're pre-portioned. and it comes in the little baggie then, so that I can just get one in a hot cup and get my cup going. So I don't have to measure the pearls. I don't have to find a baggie on my own. I can just actually use this little sachet. So I'm loving these. Pre-portioned anything, oh my gosh, it's so helpful when you're trying to stick to a diet, or if I make this tea with just the loose pearls, I tend to add too many, therefore using too much of the tea, making it a little bit bitter. I still have a hard time measuring. I would say there's probably, let's see, 5, 10, maybe 12 to 15 pearls in here. I would probably put 20, 25 if I was doing this on my own. So not only can I travel with them, but I actually make it last a little bit longer. So there you go. That is my tip for this month. Harney & Son, big shout out. You know, you have the best teas, and if you're not shopping your teas with Harney & Sons, please give them a try. I am such a fan. They have such good quality, and their Jasmine Dragon Pearls is just perfection. Perfection. All right, before I wrap up, let me just say that we want you to measure what matters. And what I mean by that is, even though I'm setting certain goals and I am showing you how I measure and track those goals, it doesn't mean that you have to measure those same goals. It doesn't mean that you have to track your steps or your home cooked meals or anything at all that I do. Goals are very individual. It all depends on what you are trying to accomplish in your life and in your business. And you have to set goals that make sense to you. So please, consider what you need to improve on. Make your goals personal, and then implement ways to measure what matters to you. And if you don't know how to do that, please reach out. You can book a discovery call with me. We also have quarterly planning workshops if you are a business owner, where we walk you through how to set goals for your business and knock them out of the park every single season. In fact, we have one coming up in just a few days. So make sure you check that out. It's all on my website over at theswedishorganizer.com. And with that, let me say thank you for watching until the end. I hope you enjoyed this productivity report. Join me again next month, where we're going to talk all about September. I can tell you already that is going to be an interesting one. All right. Take care until then, and I will see you soon.